when you reach the 50-year mark as a player, as a developer, as a role model, as an announcer, people tend to take notice. Now, this guy came up in conversation on my podcast channel recently because I guess his son noted that he was good friends with the late Tom Lysiak. Tom, another great player with the Chicago BlackHawks. But this skater for the Blackhawks did so much to enhance the defensive capabilities of the Blackhawks during the Savard era, or the Lady Savard era. I have to give him big respect. He's gone on to a coaching career, gone on to be an author, gone on to be a noted commentator, knows a lot about hockey and can back it up. Of course, we've got to be talking about the very cerebral and the very talented Steve Ludzik. Now, Steve Ludzik, path to the NHL, started on a minor hockey team from Toronto that played in the 1974 Quebec International Pee Wee Hockey Tournament. Now, this minor squad from Toronto did well the event, drew a lot of attention, and eventually became a high-level draft pick after a very interesting junior career. He played in 1978 for Markham of the OPJHL, then found his way to Niagara Falls Flyers of the OMJHL. Now, over 2 seasons, he had over 200 points in the regular season, including 75 goals and 141 assists. Now, he was Niagara's 7th pick in the 1978 OMJHL midget draft, and what a pick it was. He eventually led to be drafted 28 overall as an 18-year-old, or close to an 18-year-old, in the 1980 NHL draft. Now, at 5'11", 170, the center was well known for his two-way play on both sides of the rink, and he wasn't scared to go into corners, wasn't scared to take care of his fellow teammates. Now, Ludzik, again, not to say he was confused with Steve Larmer, his well-known teammate, but used to call him the two Steves, and actually at one point there were some hockey cards that had Steve Larmer's photo over Steve's name. That's how much the two Steves were confused. Now, his last season with Niagara put up some dynamite numbers: 142 points in 58 games, including 50 goals and 92 assists. Now, the 82 season, his rookie campaign was, of course, the big Calder Cup year where he became a provincial hero in New Brunswick. Playing with the New Brunswick Hawks, he had 62 points in 73 games in the regular season, including 21 goals, and a big 10 points in 15 playoff games, where again the squad won the Calder Cup. Now, his path in hockey was quite interesting. He debuted on December 29th, 1981 at Quebec. Now, get this. He scored a goal in his first NHL game, which was the only goal in an 8-1 rout by the Nordiques against the Blackhawks. He scored, of course, against the venerable Dan Bouchard in an 8-1 loss. Now, again, he was often confused with junior teammates Steve Larmer, with his former junior teammate Steve Larmer during early years in Chicago. Now, again, if you can find it, Ludzik's rookie card depicted Larmer, while Larmer's depicted Ludzik. Now, the big line he played on, of course, was the TCL line, as they call it, with Tim Higgins and Kurt Frazier for Chicago in 82-83. Now, he did suffer a severe injury in the 86 season as he broke his left foot, an injury he suffered during a game against Detroit on October 19th. Now, that was a problem for the rest of the season, and acted up in the December 29th, 85 game versus Boston. Now, he also had a broken collarbone in the start of the 87 season, an injury suffered during a game against Montreal. Now, he was very versatile with Chicago. He also played left wing. Now, his statistics don't bear it out, because as I'm going to talk about here, he never scored more than 10 goals in a season but once. From 82 to 89, he scored 2, 6, 9, 11, 6, 5, 6, and 1 goal. However, the statistics don't tell the whole story. Good on defense, would rarely take a bad penalty, and the plus-minus bears it out. He usually was on the plus territory of the plus-minus. And the two big playoff runs for Chicago in 83 and 85. He put up some consistent numbers, especially in that 83 Cup run, or near Cup run, where he had 18 points in 13 playoff games. Now, he eventually ended up in Buffalo and became a star with the Rochester Americans on every level, was considered one of the most popular players there in the 3 seasons he played with Buffalo's main affiliate. Now, he did wrap up his playing career with Zell am Sieg of Austria with 53 points in 51 games in the 1993 season. Now, just to recap what he meant as well to minor hockey. When he went to Chicago, he was that popular in his minor hockey years. Again, he won the Calder Cup in the AHL with New Brunswick in 82. He won the Turner Cup as a head coach with Detroit Vipers in 97. He was a Colonial Hockey League Coach of the Year in 95 with Muskegon. Now in Rochester, he was their 3 stars leader in 89-90 and their captain in 91-92. Now, again, he played in the AHL regular season title winners in New Brunswick in 82. He was on the AHL regular season title winners with Rochester in 91. Again, in 97, he was head coach of the Detroit team that won the IHL regular season and playoff titles. Now, when he turned his mind to coaching, and boys, did he do it quite well. He was named Muskegon's head coach prior to the 94 season and remained there through the 95 campaign. He was named Detroit's assistant coach prior to the 96 season and remained there through the campaign, although he was acting as interim head coach for the season's final 32 games, while his best friend and head coach Rick Dudley focused on his responsibilities as the team's GM. He was eventually named Detroit's head coach prior to the 97 season and remained there until 99, guiding some of the best young and affiliated and independent prospects of the late 1990s. Now, he moved to the OHL on June 7, 2002 as head coach of Mississauga and remained there for that campaign. He was eventually named San Antonio's head coach on June 5, 2003 and remained there until November 10, 2003. He was again named San Antonio's head coach on June 17, 2004 and remained there for most of the season. Now, in management, he was Muskegon's director of hockey operations prior to the 94 season and remained there to 95. He was named Mississauga's GM and director of hockey operations for the 2002-03 season. Now, what was kind of interesting too was some of the strange peccadillos of his minor league career. He missed part of the 90 season with a left eye injury suffered when hit by Sean Van Allen's stick during Rochester's November 12th game versus Cape Breton. Now, he was also one of 4 players involved in an infamous brawl, which included Mitch Malloy, Rudy Poshek, and Ty Domi, of all people, who were all suspended 6 games and fined $1,000 each by the NHL during a 1981 campaign for a role in Rochester's pregame brawl with Binghamton on November 24, 1990. The incident allegedly took place after Ludzik hit the Poshek with a high stick when the two accidentally collided during warm-ups. He eventually took a job as Mississauga's coach because of his close friendship with former junior teammate Nick Ricci, who had purchased the team. He left the squad after failing to agree on contract terms with new owner Mario Forgoni, who bought the team from Ricci 2 months earlier in February 2003. Now, how he found his way out of Chicago and to Rochester, Buffalo was quite interesting. He sent Ludzik and a return of Buffalo's 1996 round pick, Derek Edgerly, to Buffalo to complete a September 28, 89 deal, which Buffalo traded the great backstop Jacques Cloutier to Chicago for future considerations. Ludzik and the return of Buffalo's 1996 rounder in exchange for the return of Chicago's 1995 round pick, Todd Boychen, which fulfilled the deal's future considerations on September 29, 89. So technically, it was Cloutier for Ludzik in a myriad of draft picks. Now, some felt it was going to be a very important deal for Buffalo due to Ludzik's tenacities, but it unfortunately didn't work out. Now, here's where it gets quite interesting, ladies and gentlemen. We know he went to Mississauga and San Antonio of the AHL, but for 2 seasons, he was given the interesting task of being the head coach of the Tampa Bay Lightning in the early years. In the 2000 season, he led the team to a fourth-place finish in the Southeast with a 1947 9-7 record. Now, as this worked out, he showed great tenacity with Tampa Bay, and he basically encouraged some of their up-and-coming players to seek out the best in their NHL career. Now, not enough credit is given to Ludzik for setting the foundation of Tampa Bay, which led to great success in the 2000s and 2010s. But you cannot underestimate the motivation that Ludzik gave those players what was very tough to do campaigns for Tampa Bay. Now, the second season was slightly better. He went 12-20-5, but was left go after 39 games. And again, that's which led to the Muskegon tenure. The Mississauga and San Antonio tenure. Now, since he kind of got away from coaching, Ludzik has been a known hockey pundit on television, most notably on the Score television network for a number of years. And there's a lot of people in my circle call him the poor man's Don Cherry. I think that's an insult to Steve Ludzik. Steve was quite an interesting cat because he would know exactly how minor hockey and NHL hockey work together in the promotion and development of young players. Now, he's so cerebral in his work towards the sport. He's also co-authored a very popular tome entitled Been There, Done That, which has had critical acclaim since its release for his basically turning the page on what the modern minor hockey NHL system and what he called major junior system is out there for the young player. Very, very honest, because Ludzik with Chicago could have easily won a Stanley Cup were it not for the Gretzky Oilers or the McDonald Flames. I honestly believe if the Chicago would have 2 or 3 more players, Ludzik would have played a big part in a pure Stanley Cup run. But there were 2 or 3 players away from having enough to knock off Edmonton and Calgary. Now, Ludzik's personal life has also been somewhat of a rough go in recent years, although he's a great role model. He came out public in 2012 that he'd been suffering from Parkinson's disease since being first diagnosed in 2000. Now, when I say he's a role model, a lot of people look up to Steve because Steve, again, he's been through the wars. And his great work on and off the ice as a coach, as a player, has been duly recognized. He's in that great Etobicoke Sports Hall of Fame, more than well-deserved. And for a guy that basically 28 overall, and to do so much in his career. And you mentioned Steve Ludzik, like Guy Carbonneau was mentioned with Montreal. He's probably one of the most underrated two-way players of the 1980s. I used to watch him in the tough games against Toronto, against the Nordiques, against Montreal. Boys, he would work beyond and beyond. Not say marginal skills, but he only had so much talent to work with. And of course, with Denny Savard and Al Secord and the other top offensive players, you needed grinders like Ludzik to hold the score close, especially in those rough games against St. Louis, divisional opponents, Detroit, Chicago. Ludzik, again, I figure he's a top 50 most underrated player in NHL history. The reason I say this, can you imagine Ludzik would have had a chance with Toronto Maple Leafs or the Quebec Nordiques in a bigger media center, how much more of a fan base he would have? He has quite a bit right now. But like I said, Etobicoke within the Ontario Hockey League fraternity, within the minor league fraternity, we're all going to remember the great job he did with Detroit. Now, other halls of fame might call down the road. I'm hoping the Ontario one, but Steve Ludzik, in my opinion, I can say nothing but good about him. I wish he played with the Montreal Canadiens or Toronto Maple Leafs. I'd see some failure in Montreal's defensive system, especially in the early to mid 1980s. And my dad would always say, "How come we can't get a player like Steve Ludzik?" And I told Dad, players like Steve Ludzik, they're only once every 5-10 years. Once you get one of them, every goal he scored and every play he made a difference. because he made his teams better when he went into coaching. He brought that tenacity and that intelligence. You got to be cerebral in hockey, and Steve Ludzik, again, we love him in New Brunswick. We know that already. If he went to a bar in New Brunswick, I don't think people would even charge him for even 2 beer or 3 beer. Like I said, what he did in New Brunswick with the Hawks, it's just amazing because he was one of the people that put New Brunswick back on the pro hockey map, where before we only had the Harveys and the Grants as individual players, but he helped rebuild hockey in New Brunswick on a pro level. And the Moncton Hawks, everything else, the Frankton Express, just tremendous. So Steve Ludzik, you have my great respect. That's why I'm doing a podcast. I thought I did one on Steve a few months ago, but from all my friends and family in Chicago, this is for you guys. And like I said, go to the tapes, ladies and gentlemen. And Steve would go up against the 6'3", 6'4" power forwards in the NHL. The man was fearless. That's all I can say. Thanks for listening. Bye.